Okay, I need you to walk to your desk. Walk forward. Walk forward. Oh, look out for the chair. Yeah. Go to your left.
This week we're in the book of Mark again. If you're following along each week, we'll have pretty much covered this gospel by the end of November. This week we're in chapter 10, verses 46 to 52. Let's see what it has to say. Jesus and his followers came into Jericho. As Jesus was leaving Jericho, together with his disciples and a sizable crowd, a blind beggar named Bartimeaus, Timaeus' son, was sitting beside the road. When he heard that Jesus of Nazareth was there, he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, show me mercy." Many scolded him, telling him to be quiet, but he shouted even louder, "Son of David, show me mercy." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him forward." They called the blind man. "Be encouraged, get up, he's calling you." Throwing his coat to the side, he jumped up and came to Jesus. Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said, "Teacher, I want to see." Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." At once he was able to see, and he began to follow Jesus on the way. Sometimes it's easy to read through stories like this and think, wow, I get it. Bartimaeus was blind, Jesus healed him, everyone went home happily ever after, right? Got it, great, let's move on. But I don't want to move too quickly through this story. See, sometimes there's more to a story than meets the eye. So first we have Bartimaeus, the blind beggar. Now this is important to note. Remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked about how women and children didn't have very much value in society? Well, neither did anybody with a physical disability. In fact, if you had a disability back then, you were often looked down upon. People thought that your disability was a result of your sin and that God was punishing you. You were often looked at as a burden on your family, and many people were left to beg on the streets. We don't know a whole lot about Bartimaeus' background, but we can assume that he was used to this sort of discrimination. So we have Bartimaeus sitting on the streets when he hears Jesus coming. Clearly he knows about Jesus and he has faith that Jesus can heal him. Can you imagine what he's feeling? He's so excited, so full of hope that Jesus can heal him. So Bartimaeus starts shouting, "Jesus, Son of David, show me mercy." He starts shouting. He wants to make sure that Jesus can hear him when he walks by. "Jesus, Son of David, show me mercy." He shouts louder and louder. Well, the crowd can certainly hear him. It says here in verse 48, many scolded him. Remember, these people think that Bartimaeus is sinful and worthless and a burden on society. Jesus couldn't possibly have time for him. "Jesus, Son of David, show me mercy." Bartimaeus doesn't let the crowd discourage him. He keeps shouting louder and louder. Then something crazy happens. Jesus calls him forward. And even as the crowd looks at Bartimaeus with disgust, Jesus wants to talk to him. Can you imagine what he feels like now? All of his wildest dreams are coming true. He's full of hope. So Bartimaeus jumps forward and runs to Jesus. Of course, Jesus already knows what Bartimaeus needs, but he asks him, "What can I do for you?" And Bartimaeus says, "I want to see." What do you think the crowd is feeling right now? Are they shocked? Do they look at Bartimaeus with pity? Are they jealous that he's getting this sort of attention from Jesus? It's probably a mixture of everything. But Bartimaeus doesn't worry about the crowd. He just waits with hope and anticipation for Jesus to answer. And then Jesus says, "Go, your faith has healed you." And what's the first thing he does? It says right here in verse 52, at once he was able to see and he began to follow Jesus on the way. See, Bartimaeus knows that with this new life, he wants to bless God and follow Jesus and show compassion to others. The story of Bartimaeus reminds me of one of my favorite worship songs, "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord." See, Bartimaeus was physically blind. He couldn't see with his eyes, but somehow Bartimaeus could see with his heart. When he heard that Jesus was coming, he could see Jesus with his heart and know that Jesus was the Savior, while the rest of the people in the crowd were somehow blind to this. Isn't it amazing how the man that was blind was actually the one in the story who could really see? The lyrics in the song go like this: "Open the eyes of my heart, Lord, I want to see you." See, we're often like the people in the crowd. We can see with our eyes, but the eyes of our hearts are closed. We can't see the pain and the suffering and the need. Our hearts are blind. We need to pray that God would open the eyes of our hearts so that we can see what he sees and love who he loves. We need to pray to have faith like Bartimeaus's, faith that heals. And with that, let's jump into our Bible memory verse. My teacher, let me see again. Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:51. Now I'll take some words away. Keep following along with me and we'll memorize this verse together. My teacher, let me see again. Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:51. My teacher, let me see again. Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:51. My teacher, let me see again. Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:51. My teacher, let me see again. Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:51. Here comes your challenge for this week. Challenge number 1, I want you to make a prayer chain this week. Write the names of people who you think need healing. Maybe they have a broken heart, or they're feeling sick, or somebody in the hospital. Write their names on tiny pieces of paper, and then attach them together to create a prayer chain. Then, get the rest of your family together. Read out the names on your prayer chain and say a prayer together for those people this week. Challenge number 2, with your parents' help, put on a blindfold and then follow spoken directions from another family member to move around the house. Take turns being the one who has the blindfold and the one who's giving the spoken directions. How does it feel to have to trust where you're going when you can't see what's in front of you? Tell me about it on Sunday. Thanks for joining me this week. Stay tuned for the announcements at the end of the video, and I'll see you Sunday.